1, 445, 457, and paragraphs 474 to 494 for our consideration. The floor is open.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Member Maipo.
Can we have an update on paragraph 443, please?
Part 3, sir, is not on the floor. 441, 445, 457, and paragraphs 474 to 494. Those are the paragraphs for our consideration.
My apologies, I missed you there just now.
'94. There are some additional information for this agency being circulated to all members.
Mr. Chairman.
Member Sirajab.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Sorry, the PS in relation to paragraph 445. I note here in the ministry's response is that the issuance of drugs and supplies exceeded warranted sum as consumption projection. I'm not too clear, but the question I have is that if the sums are exceeded because more quantities are bought, or if the sums are exceeded because of price and price fluctuation.
Yes.
Through the chair, just to be specific, you're responding to 445A. B.
Yeah, B.
I'm not sure. I think 445B was pertaining to the 206 million that went towards salaries. But the general response to the question you have, which is relevant in the case of warrants for drugs, it can be both. It can be price based upon quantities purchased, and in some cases it can just be quantities, pure volumes.
Okay, yeah. In relation to the matter with salaries, I think at the last time we had examine what took place then. Thank you.
Members, any other additional questions? I've noticed the PS would have provided responses to most of those outstanding questions that members would have posed. So am I to conclude that is the reason for members not asking questions?
Well, Mr. Chairman, through you, the responses does help a lot. I mean, that was the intention for these responses. But referring to 457, and again, my question to the PS is that in relation to this particular paragraph, and to judge from the response, am I to take it that they're in answering these queries raised in the Auditor General report? Am I to take it that you don't have records, documentation on file to satisfy the questions raised here?
Through the chair, for the Port Kaituma projects, as you had mentioned before, they seem to have had some level of maybe mismanagement of files. So we were not able to find the core document. And so we were in a process of reconstruction with the support of the former PS Thomas, who can speak a bit more to the findings here.
Thank you, Chair, and respect to the question of Honourable Member Siraj. Yes, we have been working, we have made contact with a consultant who has provided some help, particularly as related to 457. I think this is a matter we're discussing with the Auditor General's office with a view to bring some further clarity on the present position there. But yes, we actually work in building background record reconstructing. We have gotten some information from the consultant, and we're working together with Auditor to bring this to closure.
Let us not make assumptions about the files that are outstanding and label it as mismanagement. Let us not assume. All right?
Noted, Chair.
For contracts awarded PS, what is the ministry's percentage of mobilization advance?
For works, it's normally somewhere between 15 and 20, depending on the specific contract. For goods, it's normally 30%.
Because I'm looking at 474, where 25% of the contract sum was awarded. But that's not currently what pertains under your stewardship.
No, it's normally 15 to 20 right now. But in some cases, if we define it in the document for 25 or 30 and the tender board approves it, it's a case by case situation.
Has that ever occurred since under your tenure?
Under my tenure, I think the maximum is 20%.
You think, or you're not certain?
It's 20%.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on that particular question, I think there's some amount of differentiation between contracts on easily accessible areas as against contracts in hinterland areas. I think it's 20 for more or less coastal areas and 30%, as much as 30%.
You
for
two thinking,
inland
honorable
communities.
member, we have to be
But-
certain.
Yeah, but that's why I'm.
No, we have the AG for
That
this.
is correct.
Yeah.
So my question is that.
Chair, it's 15% for coastal areas. The interland is to 30.
30.
It's 15 for the ministry.
So if it's for the ministries, it's 15%. So if they need to, as the PS said, he considers to give 20. What's the procedure? He has to write and seek approval
That's,
from the National Tender Board.
yeah.
That was done, PS.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. And that is primarily based on the emergency of the particular contract being executed or the nature of the contractor. So
Correct. That can be one of the driving factors.
members, I put the remaining paragraphs 3, 4, 95 to 506 for our consideration.
Mr. Chairman, 499, there's an issue of overpayment here. I note the PS response, but my direct question is that if in the research that was being done, if the contractor was notified of the overpayment and asked to repay the amount.
Through the chair, this position on this query remains the same as the last sit-in. We were unable to find any information pertaining to this project to date. So we would ask to continue to search to see what we can find on this query.
Another an advice from the Public Accounts Committee, PS, and this is an advice we have decided to give accounting officers coming before us, particularly with the issues of overpayment and the backlog keep reflecting itself in year after year's reports. And the finance secretary actually would have given us this advice. And the advice is, when you would have discovered these happenings that keep reflecting itself year after year, this is 2016, it's 5 years ago. And I'm certain that it would be repeated itself. It would repeat itself in 2017, 2018, 2019, even 2020 reports. And the fact that you would have made efforts, as well as the previous PS, to write the contractor requesting him to honor his obligation, and he has failed to do so. The advice from the Public Accounts Committee is that you write the FS explaining to him your efforts in getting the contractor to satisfy his obligation has failed, and you're asking for the FS to give consideration to write it off. That is the FS advice, and we trust that you would activate that option that you have and write him immediately so that the process could start.
Thank you, Chair. We'll do so.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not sure if the name of the company was mentioned. May I ask the name of the company that has this amount outstanding? Because I take note that this is a matter since 2011, where the sum of $112.739 million were awarded for this construction of this hospital, and the 15.722 outstanding. Is it possible for me to get the name of the company, please?
Yes.
in addition to the advice you gave, Chair, my initial response was explaining the fact that we could not find any information on this project, including the contractor's name. We'll have to do more work to reconstruct files from other agencies to see if we can find this contractor's name, maybe finance and infamous.
You make contact with MPTAB?
Thank you, Chair. To buttress what PS said just now, yeah, we actually been working with NPDAP to reconstruct a number of files. Talk about doing it this morning, and to the period that, in fact, we're looking particularly for some files from 2015, and they mentioned me that these are some container, and they're looking at it.
What was that, sir?
NPTAB has records of as back as the back as was 2015. They have kept them stored in some container. That has been advised, and they're looking, because I've had them to look for some correspondence, some documents from me also with respect to 2015. They have not yet located them, but we will be engaging them with respect to this particular case 499. Recently, I got word about the name of the consultant who supervised this project, and I got a number. I tried once, I didn't get through, but this is something that we'll be following up at PSF to see if we can get some additional information. But the consultant that supervised this project, I understand the name, so it was given to me by a former engineer, and so we'll be trying to get some information on this project.
Mr. Chair, my engineer has a name from his.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the name of the contractor, the company is Vishal Contracting Company. Vishal Contracting Company. That's the name of the contractor. The supervising consultant on this project would have been Dean Partners and Architects.
So you're so guided, PS.
Okay, Chair.
But I believe it's the advice from the finance secretary is noteworthy, and it should be executed as soon as possible. This has been lagging since 2011 and has been reoccurring on every year report after. It seems to be an unending feature in those many years reports. So we need that to be taken off, and I think the finance secretary's advice is prudent, and we should endeavor to follow suit.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Memo.
I concur, of course, with your guidance, but I must mention again that we are seeing large sums of monies being paid to contractors. And I will just like to state for the record purpose that it comes back to measuring the work and then issuing the payments. And I think that is a sore issue that we have found in this 2016 Auditor General's report. And I trust that the accounting officer will take note, as we would have guided all other accounting officers, that the engineering department and the technical officers need to play a greater role in ensuring that we pay for measured works. Thank you.
Noted. Member Ziraj.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 500. Mr. Chairman, based on the PS response to this audit query here, it is stated that that the contractor would have supplied product that expired upon delivery. 500. Now, this was in 2016, and in 2017, when the audit was done, an amount of $78 million is still outstanding. I noted here that this case is ongoing. Can we get, besides saying ongoing, can the PS give us a more up-to-date, give us more up-to-date information, and also at the same time provide PAC with the name of this contracting company?
Go ahead, PS.
Through the chair, The name of the company is Caribbean Medical Supplies. The update on the current litigation, the last update I got from the Guyana, the government food and drug department, it was that the case has moved to trial, but I do not have the exact date of trial at my hand here. So it's still in a litigation.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed.
The matter in court is between the Caribbean Medical Supplies as a contracted party and who else?
Through the chair, the prosecutor in this case is the Government Food and Drug Analyst Department, which is a agency of the Ministry of Health. They are the prosecution in this case.
Is this contractor still bidding for government contracts with the ministry?
The contractor was deferred until this case is being resolved.
That deferral was based on the advice of the AG chambers.
The deferral came from the tender board.
Or National Tender Board. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
could the PS tell us when this case was filed?
I believe the case was first heard in the first quarter of 2021. And it was filed, it would have been filed sometime in 2020, maybe before the change in government. I don't have the specific date prior.
Now, just, Mr. Chairman, just to refresh my memory, is this the HIV testing kits?
Through the chair, correct.
May I inquire further, Mr. Chairman, if I don't want to prejudice the outcome of a case, but it is a straightforward matter. A supplier was paid to provide some HIV testing kits.
But Mr. Jill, if the matters before the court, let us not go into that realm and assume that it was a straightforward matter.
But I'm asking a specific question, sir.
Yeah, but sub judice would not provide for you to ask question if the matter is before the court. Now you know this. So let us allow the court.
It depends what is the question, sir. Sub judice doesn't mean that you can't say anything about the matter.
I would rather us not ask questions pertaining to this particular issue due to the fact that it is before the courts.
But that doesn't prevent fair comment, sir.
Mr. Edgel, I have indicated to you, I would rather this matter be put to rest until the court comes to determination.
All right, sir, I hear you. And I could understand why.
Members, do we have any additional questions for the PS and his team? There being no other question, PS, let me thank you and your team for making another appearance to the Public Accounts Committee. Thank you for honoring your obligation in providing the PAC with the required information to the questions that the members would have asked. And I trust that you and your team would have a wonderful Christmas before you make another appearance to the PAC. Do have a good day.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you to the team.
Members, with regards to region number 9 of Atakti of Essequibo, we were unable rather to make contact with the regional executive officer, and as such, we will re-invite him for Monday's sitting of the Public Accounts Committee. All right. Nick.